I like it when there is scientific evidence to support claims. Whenever someone makes a claim, I always wonder, does this really match the latest research on the subject? Now, I'm primarily specialized in helping runners change how they move to become more energy efficient and injury-free, and I'm not a scientist. But the nice thing about having 3D cameras for so many years that I have, and have done so many thousands of tests with these cameras, is that I don't have to guess so much. I have the exact figures on how they move and their energy expenditure and how they load their joints and everything else. And this includes all types of runners, from the slowest beginners to runners in the Swedish national team, from middle distance runners to ultra runners. One thing I often notice is that things that runners think are obvious or common sense may not be true at all. Sometimes the runner's thoughts match the research. For example, I've actually seen a study where runners were asked to run as usual when they run with their hands, and running also with their hands on their heads. And it turned out, to absolutely no one's surprise, that running with your hands on your head is harder and costs more energy than just letting the arms swing with the rhythm. Wow, what a surprise! I'm so glad they did that study. But sometimes runners are wrong in their assumptions. I actually made a whole video just about how runners don't know what they look like at all when they run. So please check that one out if you want more on that subject. Education is the path to progress and success. But back to the subject of this video. One thing I noticed is that many runners associate the sound of their landings with injury risk and energy efficiency. As a rule, they believe that the quieter the landings, the more silent they run, the better. Landing heavy with a thunderous sound must of course be bad and hard on the body. Well, it may be the case, but it is by no means certain. Luckily for me that likes science, there is a study that looked at exactly this. Is there a correlation between the sound volume when landing when runners are running on a treadmill and vertical loading forces on the body? And what the researchers found was no. There is no link between the number of decibels when landing on a treadmill and the vertical forces. However, there are quite clear links between sound volume and whether you put your heel, your forefoot or your midfoot down first. In the study named Comparison of Foot Strike Sounds Between Rear Foot, Midfoot and Forefoot Strike Runners, published in the Journal of Athletic Training in 2021, the sound produced by runners landing on the heel, the midfoot and forefoot was measured with microphones and then compared with the vertical forces produced. Landing on the whole foot or the forefoot generated a shorter and louder sound than landing on the heel. Landing midfoot generated the biggest sound volume, while heel striking was the most silent way of running. And when you think about it, it's not surprising at all that putting your foot down like this, the whole foot, makes a lot more noise than putting down your heel first like this. But what about the vertical forces? The researchers stated, and I quote, "We did not find a significant relationship between vertical loading rates and any impact sound parameters." As you know, many runners overstride, and that is landing too much in front of their body. Then I help them to run in a way so that they land more under their bodies and become more energy efficient. And when they land more under their center of mass, it is quite common that they also land more midfoot instead of putting their heel down first, which makes their landing sound louder, moving from here to here. and then the volume increases. And they often say, well, I can't run like this. There is a lot of thumping and banging on the treadmill. This can never be a safe and injury-free way to run. But then I remind them of what the research says. There is no significant relationship between vertical loading rates and the sound of the impact when landing on the treadmill. It is the moving from the heel strike to the midfoot strike that causes the increased sound. Yes, a louder landing can be bad compared to a more silent landing, but the sound volume says nothing about the vertical loading rates on your body. And always go where the research leads you. I truly hope you liked that video, and if you did, please click the like button and maybe also the subscribe button. And feel free to check out all the other content I have here on my channel. And maybe you are also interested in my online course. You'll find it at fredrikzillén.com.